Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel. That way, when I release more videos like this, you'll get notified. So welcome to the show, Jennifer. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm so excited for why we're having this conversation right now. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Betsy. And I must say thank you very much for inviting me to your podcast. I've listened to quite a number of them, and I've been impressed by the content and guests who have been on this. So I'm really honored to be included on your guest list. Thanks again.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh. Of course. You have so much wisdom to share. And we have something to celebrate right now because you are ready to launch your business. So we've been working together for about a year on your business, your brand, your website. Oh my gosh, your website is gorgeous. But I would love to talk to you a little bit about your journey into business ownership. So can you take us back to like what your career has been and what made you decide like, you know what, I think I want to do my own thing?
Thank you. So, Betsy, I've been a consultant for the past 20 years and full-time consultant. Prior to that, I was in IT management, and I switched from IT management to full-time consultant. So after being in it for about 20 years.
Can I interrupt real quick? You're full-time consultant for another company or a firm?
For a firm, and the firm that I'm a consultant with, I provide services to other clients.
Got it. Okay.
So even though I'm employed to an organization, a partner, that partner firm provides service to external clients. And because of the nature of the work, you're embedded within an organization for extended periods. So it's almost like I've been working for many different companies within this time frame.
Got it. Okay. So you were working for the firm in the IT space. And then what happened?
So after a couple of years, I've been in it for such a long time. I have matured. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. And it reached to a point where I pretty much exhausted that particular field in terms of what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do something different. And I wasn't sure what that was. All I knew it was, whatever it was, I needed to be my authentic self in doing so. And I wanted to rely on things that did not bring on stress or strain on all the priorities in my life, or the relationships and the people in my life. I needed to show up for them, and I want to show up for everybody. So I started on a quest to find out what it is that I wanted to do. And I did search, and I spoke to a lot of different people, friends, family, and everybody had good intentions about what I could do. But I wanted something systematic. I wanted something that was clear. And I wanted not just to go and start a business, but something out there, but wanted something that was meaningful, something that was true to me, and something that gave real value. And it must be of an excellent quality. It wasn't just something. It must have, it must be enduring. I didn't know how to get there. And I didn't think there was anything out there for a consultant to navigate, to get there. And then one day I found an article which you wrote.
Oh.
And I read it, and you were speaking to my story, and you were giving your story, but it sounded like my story. And I was just floored by it. And then I reached out, and but of course, I reached out, but I wasn't sure whether or not this is what I wanted to do. Should I really do this? Is this for real? And frankly, when you see so many things on the internet, you really wondered if somebody's saying something just for saying its sake, or can they really deliver the words that they're saying?
Right.
And so I had to dig around, and I signed up for your newsletter, and I saw different articles coming in, and I found that your message was consistent. You knew what you were doing, and you have had results the kind of results that I was looking for was, I was seeing that being reported, and it gave me some more reassurance. And I think it took a couple of months before I actually reached out to you and said, okay, let's talk. And we did. And then we started this incredible journey. And it's a whole transformational journey, because to move from being a consultant to starting my own business, it meant that I had to use different additional muscles and different skills. And because I wanted to build something so that was authentically me, it meant that I had to find out, who am I and what am I about and what was important to me, really me. And it took me going down that journey to learn about myself and do some cleaning up and adding some things and found my voice and found myself. And I realized I've always been there, but for many different reasons, I've actually accumulated so many other things that I had to work through. And it, having a community of the mastermind class, having a coach like you that says, that walks me through and said, I understand. And when I'm not seeing your thing, I can see what you're not seeing as yet. And helped me create that path. I'm so grateful for that journey.
So I'm hearing a lot of things in what you're saying. So like on a very tactical level, is that, you're from the career standpoint is you did as much as you could as a consultant working for a different firm. So you've done as much as you could. You wanted to have your own business and you wanted something that would support your lifestyle, not just your money, but your lifestyle. You were looking for something that was more meaningful, but the overarching goal was authenticity. So you wanted authenticity. And so the real challenge for you is like, okay, so I want a business that feels like me, but now I got to figure out, who am I? And who is this person? And what is it that I want? And so that was the big transformational part, is unpacking all the stuff that wasn't you so that the real you could sort of emerge out of that. Does that sound like what you were saying?
Absolutely. You've got it. You've pinned it.
So we went through the process of figuring out your business model and it took a little bit. So tell us a little bit more about like your process of figuring out who you are and what kind of business model you wanted.
Part of that process was trying to understand what it is that I do that made me feel alive, that ignites me, that really brings out that joy in me, where I wake up in the mornings and I feel, on top of the world, like I'm doing this, whatever that job is, and knowing that this is really me and I want to do it. And it's not something that I put on, it's who I am. And so we went down the road of doing a market scan. And interestingly enough, when we did the market scan, there were comments that, all those very generous people made. And I think I read it there in terms of more of an exercise that you had me go through. And it wasn't until we went through the exercise where you asked me, like, who do I want to serve and who are the people that really I'm passionate about serving? And I found that these women, and this wasn't just something that I thought about because you asked. I think deep inside, I felt it before, but I just didn't know what to do with that longing, that desire. And I thought about the problems that I saw where I couldn't understand why other people weren't seeing the problem the way I'm seeing it, or if they saw the problem, why aren't they doing something about it? Because I didn't think that I was in a position to make a difference and do something about it. And it wasn't until we had that conversation and you said, forget about all the things around me or what other people are doing or not doing, but what about you? Who do you want to serve? And I kept coming back again to looking at situations where I've seen women, they're earning what, 40, 50,000 a year, and they have some great people skill. They know to organize things, make things happen. And they have great skill, talents and everything, but they, for whatever reason, they end up in a particular job or career. And that's, the ceiling is like right here, 40, 50,000, 60,000, you're not gonna earn any more than that. And they pretty much settle there and not knowing, or for whatever reason, they never move from there. And I'm saying, okay, so the problem, so that's happening over there. Over here, we have this huge industry that's growing fast, and we need those skill sets that they have over here. And why aren't we tapping into those skill sets and bring them over here? And do they not know that they could use the same skills, just some tweaks and pivots and come over here and help other people? Because there are people over here with the $100,000 salaries who need them. And so I said, okay, why can't we do that? Because then we solving a problem. And then it also, for me, in terms of when I see people hurting, I feel it. And I'm thinking, if we could solve that, there were so many people who would benefit from that solution. So why not do it? And so
I love
that's
the
where
clarity
we
and your passion. I love your clarity and your passion. So, okay. So what it sounds like is there's so many things that you discovered during this market scan is the real things that you wanted to help is like these women, and you see their relationship skills because you're in a technical space, and most people have a lot of great technical skills, but they don't have the people skills. So it's like, okay, they're suffering over here because they need software consultants who have some people skills, and they don't have any, and they're paying good money over here. And you got these other people with like great people skills, might need to learn a little bit of the technical side. Why don't I bring them together? It's a win-win. And so you saw that opportunity and is like, yes, like I definitely want to go after that. And so we're going to raise the income level for these people over here. And we're going to increase the value of these projects over here, win-win. But then the other part, I think, is, you really tapping into this mentor side, this emotional side. Like one of the exercises we do is around the archetypes. And, that there's those 4 archetypes, the visionary, the sages, and the caretakers and the warriors. I think one of the big shifts is you're in the technical space. So you look like you're a sage. And yes, that looks like that's what you look like. And coming to an aha, like, no, I'm a caretaker and I'm a mentor. Yes. And we grabbed a hold of that label, like I'm a mentor, because I'm going to I'm not going to coach these people how to get a job. I'm going to train them up and I'm going to show them through all of my best practices. How did you come to that awareness, and how did you recognize, like, wait a minute, I built a different career off of what I thought was my superpowers when I had these superpowers actually over here?
So it's part of that, Betsy, is the fact that when I'm describing what I want to do, you were using the words, because you started using coach and mentor and those terminologies. And it was when you started using those words, and I thought about what I would be doing with these women in terms of they're taking a transformational journey, because it isn't just, I am going to upskill you and send you over there. It's they themselves will have to go through this whole transformation about how they think about themselves and how they think about their clients that they're going to be helping. And so in order to have that sort of conversation, it's more of mentoring, having that intimate conversations and being vulnerable and saying, going pretty much what you have done with me, I'll be doing with my clients in terms of developing themselves and tapping into their natural abilities and have them pivot. The interesting thing is when we had done the market scan and some of the comments that were made at the time, I think I glanced over them and I didn't quite pick up at the time when there were people who were saying, using the terminology mentor and coach in how I affected their life. So, in terms of our own relationship, it's my relationship with them, how it helped them. I didn't see it. I kept thinking, well, I was a consultant and I did these things and they did some things and, there were some results. It wasn't until we were putting the testimonials together and then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I've always been a mentor and coach, always been. When I see people, I have this empathy for people because it's not, I didn't acquire by myself. It's not a skill that I've acquired, like, consulting or in terms of in technology. It's something that I've always had in terms of when I see people, I can see their pain, I can see their joy, I can see where they're hiding, I can see so many things. And I just thought everybody in the world had the same experience. I thought everybody in the world was like that. Actually, for a long time, I thought everybody in the world was just like me, which is why sometimes I get frustrated, because I'm thinking, why are you not seeing it the way I'm seeing it? Because I'm seeing it this way.
Right.
And so it was when I realized, no, we are all different and we all have different strengths. And some of those strengths can be weaknesses, or depending on how we use it. And so it was when I began to see that and realize, if I just relaxed and be myself and lean into my strength, then those people around me who need my strength, because there has to be a reason why I have it. It must be for somebody else. It can't just be for myself. When I give myself the strength that I have, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be living in joy. It will ignite me to feel that's what that great fulfillment is. It's when I can see somebody else life transform, and they live within their own strengths, whatever those strengths are, because they have their own strengths. When they live in it, that gives me so much joy. That ignites me. And so it's when I could reflect and brought through and notice that, then I'm like, that was my aha moment. Like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is absolutely what I want to do. And I'm just looking forward to those women who are, whatever space they're in, but they have been given fingerprints with my name on it somewhere. And therefore, when we come together, I'm going to look for you, and I hope you open up to hear me. When we come together, and then you create the life for yourself, and know that for me to be able to sit there and see you, and just, even if I'm not at the front row, but close enough to see your life transform into something so much beautiful, then I've done what I've come to do. I feel like my purpose is fulfilled, and I'm ready. I'm just so happy for that.
I'm like so emotional. What it took, like, I mean, it's just, the transformation is just stunning. I love your comment about living in strength and joy. Like, I think that was your quest. You called it authenticity, but I think your quest was to live in authenticity and joy. And it's been a battle for you to let go of whatever was not strength and joy, and to let those things go so that the strength and joy could come up. And I think you're talking about more than strength, to be honest with you. Like, to me, you're talking about gifting,
Yes.
like the gifting that you're given for this lifetime. And like, strengths are, like, someone could have a strength like, oh, I really like to build things, so I'm going to go have my hobby in the background, and it just makes me happy. Like, that could be a strength, or, even the strengths finder best at strengths. But a gifting, is more like a calling, and something that you're supposed to do, that's supposed to bless the world. And it's like you figuring out, like, this is what I'm designed to do. This redeems my story. This reflects like what I've always been like. And I want to bring that forward. And it's a different energy, like just the loving abundance that you're offering, and talking about the women with the fingerprints, like it's breathtaking to hear something like that. And I think that that's the real power of I mean, to me, I don't know for sure if that's what you're trying to communicate, but to me, that's the true transformation, is moving from questions and doubts to this level of confidence in what you want to offer.
I agree. You've summed it up so well, Betsy. Yes, it absolutely is. It's absolutely, yes. Yeah.
And I think even like some of the struggles that you've had in trying to find the words to express, your value. Obviously, you don't have any trouble on that standpoint, but your next order up for bids is to work on content and work on some of those other things. And, we got to be smart, balance SEO and all of that. But it would be kind of interesting, like just to stay at this kind of zone of saying, like, I really see this person and I see what they need and they want. And I want to elevate, I want to validate and elevate their perspective on what's possible for them. Like what is it about women who are capped at 40 and 50 and 60,000 that makes you crazy? Why is that why do we have to solve that problem?
I think partly because they have, for the women who are there, who within themselves, they are, they want more, and they might feel like it seems unfair that, or like it's not right. It just feels like it should not be. It seems wrong. I'm trying to find a word to explain that it ought not to be. It really should not be that way. And they need,
Let me push you on that, because I think this is going to help you. Why shouldn't it be that way? Why is it a tragedy when smart women are capped out in their earning potential?
I think it's a tragedy because it's untapped. And while they're in that space, there are other people in life who are not benefiting from them.
So it's back to the light on, like their light not being on the stand, their light being hidden.
That's right. It's been hidden, or, they're not producing it's like potential energy that's there. And it isn't just because the energy is not there. It's needed. It's absolutely needed. It's not like it's not needed. They are needed. They're absolutely needed. And so it feels also like a waste that we're sitting here and what we have is needed to create some additional transformation for other people too, and for themselves and for their families and for everybody around us, because I believe that everybody is here for a reason and there's a value to each of us. And we don't get to say somebody else should sit in our place. If we don't step up, there's not going to be somebody else going to step in. Or if they do step in, they're working in, they didn't get the tools to do what we have been, or the gifts, as you mentioned, that we were being given. And therefore it might be distorted, or it might manifest itself in such a way that it doesn't create the beauty and doesn't create the power and all those good things in the world. And so it's only when we step up, because of what we have, this original fingerprints that we have, it's when we step up, then we will unleash what we are supposed to do. Because I just don't believe that human beings are here, and some are here for good reason and some are not.
Right.
I think all of us is here for, and so it's when each of us step out and based on our own gifts, we flourish, or we step out and utilize it for others, not just for ourselves, for others, that we will get the relief, the peace that we're looking for, and we'll get the joy that we're looking for, and all those outer workings of we living the way we ought to, that we were meant to live.
So it's almost like for you is if somebody's not living into what their design is and what their unique fingerprint is, or the thumbprint, then they're holding something back in terms of their own joy, and then they're not contributing, which is lessening the joy of everybody around them.
Yes.
That's really powerful, because I think that what you said is true, is that nobody's here that's like, okay, well, these people are supposed to live on purpose, but these people like, they're not really supposed to. It's like, well, no, I think they're all like, we're not designed for, everybody's designed for a reason. But what is it about software consulting for these particular women that you see as the answer to their income cap and their career cap? Like, why is it software consulting? Paint me a picture for the person that you're talking to, and why is this the best career path for me, and why will I love it, and why will I thrive?
Okay, so first, why I'm looking at software consulting is because for some reason I've been placed here in this field, and so I speak to it. I certainly look forward to other people doing similar thing, or whatever they have been equipped to do, whatever talents they have, to do it within their own space, because they've been in their own space for some reason. And also just mention the fact that even though I'm speaking about women, I believe that there are men who have been here to help other men flourish. And so I'm encouraging them to step up and help these men in their own space. But I feel like I have been brought in for this particular people. So why software consulting? Partly because, as I said, this is my space that I work in, and this is where I have developed skills, knowledge, education. So as I work with them through the process, it's less, I will take less time to help them to navigate in this particular space because of the additional experience I have in this area. If I were to do, let's say I was to say, okay, I want people to do nursing, and I'm doing it in this space, it would take such a long time. I would have to acquire all those skills, and then it would not be practical to do that.
So there's some logic of saying, all right, I read my own story and say, well, I know software consulting. This makes sense. Yes. But you had said earlier, though, that you see opportunities in this particular space. Like you see needs in the software consulting industry for relational people. So it's like, what's the market opportunity? What's the career potential and market opportunity in the software consulting space that, for those who are listening who might not know, like, wow, I didn't know this was like a burgeoning field, and I didn't know there were so many opportunities. And, I'm sure, I think for a lot of people, they wouldn't think, the first skill set we need for, software consulting is relationship skills. I think most people would think like analytical skills might be handy, technical skills might be good, so what is it that you see that no one else is seeing?
Absolutely. And it's excellent. And thank you for clarifying that for me, Betsy. The thing is, and I hear the question. Sometimes people said, "I'm not a tech person. I'm not in IT tech," and which I totally understand. For years, technology was kind of a hidden. It's like you have to have some advanced degree in computers to be part of this field, right? And to some extent, that was true. The very beginning. You have to be some scientist to be in it. But as the years progress, it has changed dramatically, and it moves faster than any other industry that we've known, in that we've moved from that to today's world, where it's almost like the technical side of it is so removed, or it is so, the manufacturers or the people who have the high tech skills have advanced to the stage where where that technical side of it is being handled already. And what we're left with is a space between the technical and the everyday people who are using it. And that's where the great demand is. It's between people who talk to other people and people who talk to the tech people, and not even the lower level tech people either. I'm talking about tech people who themselves know how to speak to you. And so there is this wide breadth that we're missing, a lot of people who needs to talk to people. Take, for example, my 5-year-old came home last year with a brand new laptop. And I thought, oh, so you're going to be keeping it at home for, just in case we have a snow day, or, you have to do online school. So maybe you just get it just now and again. He said, no. I was told that he has it just like when you have pen and paper. He's going to take it back and forth to school. He's using a laptop. So a 5-year-old has a laptop as a part of his whole learning experience. So imagine that. If a 5-year-old could do that, imagine what is happening in business, where the reliance on technology. So who is teaching my 5-year-old? Not some scientist how to use his laptop. And so it is in business. We don't want some scientists who can speak in ones and zero bits and bytes to talk to people. You want people who can empathize, who can walk into a space and see somebody turns up and said, I'm afraid to ask you a question because I'm going to look dumb or stupid for asking this question. And you have to have empathy to know they really don't want to ask a question in a group of people because they're going to look, they might feel uncomfortable doing that. And therefore, you know not to ask certain questions or know how to read a room and know when to say some things and not to say something, to ask question, not to ask question, to give them information that helps them. And understand all of these things, it takes time to follow up with people, to make sure that when someone communicates with you, you understand that what you're saying isn't just what's written in black and white. You have to read beyond it. That says, I really don't want to be on this project, for example, or I don't think I can deliver what you're asking from me, or because I'm on this project, the entire company is looking at me to deliver something and I don't feel confident enough to deliver, or I'm afraid I'm going to look silly, or I'm afraid that the project is not going to go as expected, or they're going to ask something. There's so many questions and thoughts that go through people's mind in an implementation. And we need people to be in that space that can have those conversations with them. And that's just a short example. I'm just, pulling things out of the air in terms of telling you. But what I've found is that we've had more issues with people than the technology now, because the technology has gotten so stable over the years. I mean, nowadays we pick up our cell phones and we can pick up, so many apps are running and we generally see bomb out or gives errors, right? Because technology has improved tremendously. Where we haven't seen much changes is really in terms of people and how we interact with people. And so that's where I see we have a need and a need to fill. It's the people part.
So it sounds like then what you're saying is this is a dynamic growing industry. And in the past, maybe the technical skills were really important, but now the technology is stable. And the real need is for people skills. And it sounds like a lot of nuanced people skills, the ability to read behind resistance, like I don't want to be here, I feel dumb, I don't want to ask a question. And also a certain amount of teaching skills, like that you have the patience to teach a 5-year-old. I know I don't have the patience to teach my children how to work their computers. That was not, I had to pay someone to teach my kids how to drive because I am not well suited for that task at all. But it sounds like that's where the real opportunity is. So as you were making it sounds like if you were making an appeal to you have an appeal to actually 2 different audiences. You have an appeal to people who feel like they're kind of capped out in their earning potential, and they have these great people skills and they're looking for their next career opportunity. And you're like, whoa, software consulting would be a great fit for you. We could just, with a few tweaks, you could take your earning and double it. And you could be having a career path that you might not even thought about because of your people skills, because there's big need in this business. But then on the flip side, it's going to this particular industry is saying, hey, listen, companies, you guys are missing the mark. You're hiring the wrong people. You're not going to get the results. And you're actually probably wasting time and money on projects that aren't going anywhere because you don't have the right people who understand the people. So I'm going to grow these people up and I'll develop them. And then I'll move them over to you. And now you get your business needs met. You get your career needs met. Everything's a win-win.
Right. And in addition to that, we also have people who are earning the income that they want, but they may be in a field that they're saying, I want something different. I want to try something different. And I'm also appealing to them to consider this career in terms of being able to do something different. And it's a field that is constantly, as I mentioned before, it's growing. And granted, when it comes to people, there is no limit in terms of relationship building and resolving conflicts and all those things, right? Because one of the things we know is in terms of technology is the main pillars are, the technology, the people, and the process. And the technology, as I mentioned before, is stable. It's getting more and more stable every day. the process is really improving in terms of, companies coming up with ways to deliver solutions. So you're not going to go in and saying, okay, I want to start from scratch and I'm making up things as I go along. Where we haven't been able to make that great stride is in regards to people. And we can see that in society. The conflicts that we see in society is also within businesses, right? Because it's not, totally in a vacuum. So
Right.
we have to deal with those there too. So as long as you deal with people, there isn't going to be a limit to how much creativity you can come up with in terms of getting people to, to ignite people and get them to transform, because a lot of that is also the transformation process you're taking people through.
That's awesome. Because really, at the end of the day, the people skills. So if you can get people at people skills, and if you could develop that, like, to me, there's more than people skills. It's like certain amount of, relational political savvy, to go beneath the surface. I mean, then you could write your ticket on many, many jobs. My
Yes.
experience, like even with executives, like what makes great executives are not the, you don't have to know your business line after a while. Like you really have to have that political savvy and some of these other skill sets. So, okay. So this is amazing. And I love the clarity of what you have here. How was it once you got the clarity on what your business is all about? What was that process like trying to get it manifested into website copy in your website? What was that process like?
It was crazy because I did not realize that writing a website copy is so different from business writing. And so I had to be learning new skills and using different muscles to come up with it. And working with you, who's saying, okay, say it this way, speak like how people speak and not how the gobbledygook and like long sentences that nobody, it's very difficult to read through. And so going through that. But I think one of the things that really hit me when you asked me to name my company with my name, and I went into a panic mode because I'm like, I cannot do that. I cannot use my name for my website and for my company name. And I went through a little crisis there, and you really took me through that one. And I mean, today it makes so much sense now. If somebody's looking for my company or looking for me, it doesn't matter what name they put there,
right?
The same person,
right?
Something like that.
The number one search term for your own business is going to be your name. I mean, go look up Brene Brown and Brene Brown's, and it's going to be her, or even Marcus Buckingham, who has like the strengths company or whatever. People aren't looking up, oh, I want to go find the strengths company, like they're looking for the person.
Yes. So I found that interesting. And when I reflect on the journey, that was one of them in terms of my name.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was, but I love it because you're always straightforward. We're like, I don't like this. It's like, okay.
And I think the other thing is when you ask us to do a photo shoot for the website. Oh yeah. Boy, I gave you reasons for that. Like, why can't we just use stock pictures? And you're like, no.
Oh no, you didn't. You did not say stock photos. No, it's like, because you're making a connection. I mean, okay. Can you give the address for your website and people will see how amazing you looked in your photo shoot? What's your address?
My address is jenniferstarns.com. It's my name, Jennifer Starns, one word, jenniferstarns.com.
Can you spell Starns?
Starns. There is no E in it.
So jenniferstarns.com. So when you head over there, you're going to see that one of the things that you had asked for was a business that looks like you. And, I'm biased, but I feel like my team knocked it out of the park. Like, I think it's so beautiful and it looks like you. Do you feel like your website looks like you? And how do you feel about your website and your design?
I like the calming color, the inviting feel to my website. I like the colors. And interesting enough, the colors I had, green, gold, and of course, a lot of the writing is also black, some areas of black, which coincides with the color of the Jamaican colors, which I did not realize at the time when I said I wanted these colors.
Because you're Jamaican, yeah.
Yes. And so it is, and I feel like it is inviting, and the feedback I have been getting is that it looks inviting, and that's what I want it to be. Yeah, and oh boy, it's much better than I thought it would turn out in terms of the design and even the copy. Oh my goodness, I just love the collaboration that went into getting the copy, or the team who helped put it together. I just love it, and it was quite an experience. It's all part of the transformational. Just going through, who'd have thought going through an experience like that, building a website, would cause such growth, such acceptance, and it's absolutely confidence building going through that process.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that it was so transformational?
I think because there were thoughts in my mind why I did not want my picture out there, why I didn't want the website with my name. And working through those objections meant that I had to think differently. And in thinking differently about that, I end up thinking differently about other things in life. And even the journey of saying, I'm starting from a blank piece of paper. I have no idea what my website was going to look like at the very beginning. But then persevere through it and taking steps and going through it step by step. Like you get the colors and the fonts and the copy, and then all of that. And when it comes together, it creates something beautiful. So just a visual representation of this is what can happen in my own life if I identify my goal, and I might not know what it looks like at the end, what the result will look like. But if I hold true to what I want in the end, then I can continue, think about the specific steps that will get me there and seek help along the way.
Yeah.
And understand that there are some things that you just have to trust when someone says, do this, and you trust that they have gone along that road before, and trust them. And then you evaluate as you go along. Am I still on the same path? Yes. Is it developing the way I wanted to develop? Yes. Then keep going. And until you see something that's just totally takes you off road, you continue. And then when you get there, you will see it. And I don't think any transformation is in a vacuum. When you transform in one area, it will affect other areas. And so the benefits just multiply. It's not just one thing, one goal that you have set. It's not the only thing you achieve. You will achieve goal in many different areas.
That's such a great point too. It's like, it's an action learning thing around transforming your life, because usually when people leave a job to start their own business, it's never just about the work. And it's never even just about like being a mom or being there for your kids. It's about like something in me. I want to express something else in me that I haven't been able to manifest. So by getting it into your website, you can get it into your life, yes. and your authentic self of like just feeling comfortable. Like, you know what? I am a mentor. I'm not a software engineer. I'm not a software person. I'm a mentor, and I'm going to own that role. And I can own that role here. I could own it and own that energy everywhere. May not play out specifically like you do in your business, but you can own that energy. So if you're going to go back in time a year ago when you're chatting with the person who is still in the job and trying to make a decision, what would you say to that person?
What are you waiting for? Just get going. What
about the person who didn't want to have her picture on the website and her name on the URL? What would you tell her?
The same thing. Just go for it. Because I think once you find a good coach, mentor, once you're in that space, then commit. If you commit, just go for it. Because if I had stopped midway and said, and there are times in midway, I'm like, this is crazy. Maybe I should go find a job. And if I had done that, I would not experience this today. And this is not something that somebody can describe to me adequately. It is something that you have to experience yourself. So, and it's not something reckless. That's the thing in terms of when we do these, when we consider it and be deliberate about it, because there is a reason why I did not go live with a company 1 month after leaving my job. It took a while to do the work, and not being reckless, not being okay, just rushing because of anxiety or frustration or whatever, but saying, I need to pull myself out of the situation and see it in a clear mind, with a sober mind, and make that decision and stick to it, be committed.
And push past those moments, like in the middle of the process where you're like, I think I'm done, and
Yes.
just say, all right, I know that that's a sign I should probably keep going.
That's right.
So it sounds like I'm glad to hear that I delivered on my promises. You were worried that there's stuff on the internet that, people give words that they don't deliver. So it sounds like, yeah, there was.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I am so grateful. I am so grateful that first you put yourself out there to say, I'm here to help you. And because if you hadn't done that, I would not have found you. And so I appreciate that, and just opening up yourself to walk with me along my journey. And I am blessed because of that. And I thank you very much.
Is there anything else you want to tell me about leaving your job, starting your business, software consulting, mentoring? And I just didn't ask you the right question.
I think you pretty much captured a lot. I think I've said a lot that I don't remember what all I've said in this conversation, but I just want to encourage, whether you're not a software consultant right now, you're thinking about it, just to remind yourself that you are an original and you have something to contribute. And just get out and do it. And if you're already a software consultant and you're thinking that, I could bump up, I could be living a life which is more fulfilling being a software consultant, know that don't just sit with it. Do something about it.
And if they head onto your website, I believe there's an access to your calendar. Could they get on your calendar and chat with you about all of that?
Absolutely. My calendar is there, and once you make an appointment with me, it doesn't show up that you have made an appointment with me, so nobody's going to see that you're having a conversation with me. And so once you make an appointment, the conversation with me is confidential, and you don't, just it's a free conversation. Let's see where it goes. Don't your future self will, deserve this.
So it sounds like you really want to offer more than just career advice. You want to do a similar kind of process to what you went through with me, is you want to give people an opportunity. So it sounds like when people are on the call with you, it's not like you're going to go shove some sort of sales thing down the throat. It's going to be like, hey, I want to walk with you. I want to guide you into what you want to do. It sounds like that's what you're really inviting those people to do. Is that accurate?
Correct. That's correct. It's a transformational journey where we walk based on you specifically, which is why I'm not putting something out here that says it's for everybody, or this is one way to attract a group. Even though I said, I'm looking for women, it doesn't mean that we're not a homogeneous group. Each of us are individuals, and I meet you as yourself, whatever circumstances you're in, whatever your goals in life, whatever it is that that appeals to you, your own strengths. I meet you where you are. I'm not trying to say, well, this is how you should be, so you've got to get there before I can connect with you. Wherever you are at this moment, this is where I show up for you.
And if somebody has relationship skills, it's like, yeah, I want to monetize these relationship skills more. They could definitely call you and you could help them out.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jennifer. And thank you so much for just the privilege of being a part of the journey with you. You are just a joy to work with, and it's been so much fun, and I cannot wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you, Betsy. And thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate you and all that you've done for me. Thank you.
Thank you.